Hey there, I'm Katie Robert, and this is Inbox Insights for the week of October 29th, 2025. Knowledge blocks and making sessions valuable. The case for knowledge blocks. Last week, I spent several hours having a conversation with myself, downloading everything I know about software development, project management, quality assurance, stakeholder management, and requirements gathering. Yep, you read that right. I literally sat there and brain dumped 2 decades of SDLC knowledge, best practices, hard won lessons about database architecture, UI design principles, QA testing protocols, and every agile versus waterfall battle scar I've collected. Then I gave that raw transcript to generative AI, tested the heck out of it, asking questions, challenging responses, refining instructions, until I had what basically amounts to a virtual version of me as a business analyst that the team could access 24/7. Why would I do this? Because while those focus areas are my expertise, it's not my current role. And I kept watching the team members get stuck waiting for answers that I used to provide. Classic knowledge bottleneck. The result? Well, Chris loves it. I'm also fairly certain he's created a Katie CEO stand in that's significantly meaner than I am, but that's a different conversation. What the heck are knowledge blocks? Knowledge blocks are structured downloads of everything someone knows about a specific topic, captured in a way that can be turned into a custom AI assistant. You don't have to create an interactive virtual person right away. Knowledge blocks work as a standalone documentation too. But when you're ready, they transform into specialized consultants who never sleep or take a vacation, remember every conversation, respond instantly, and cost nothing after the initial setup. But unlike generic AI, these custom gems or GPTs are trained on your specific expertise, your company's methodologies, and your industry context. Why this matters, especially now. Most organizations are sitting on massive knowledge gaps they don't even realize they have. What happens when your senior developer is out for 2 weeks? Your project manager leaves suddenly. Your newest team member needs to ramp up, but everyone's slammed. You're scaling stuff you can't afford to hire another expert yet. Traditionally, we've tried to solve this problem with documentation. And look, I love good documentation, but documentation is static, hard to search, rarely updated, and let's be honest, nobody reads it. Knowledge blocks are different because they can be interactive. They answer specific questions. They walk people through process. They explain the why behind the what. The real value isn't what you think. When I first mentioned this to clients, most jump to, oh, so this is about replacing people. No, hard stop. This is about knowledge preservation. What happens when your institutional knowledge, when people leave, usually it walks out the door with them. Now it doesn't have to. Scaling expertise. I can only talk to one person at a time. My BA gem, it can handle the entire team simultaneously. Reducing bottlenecks. How many hours are wasted waiting for subject matter experts to respond to emails? How many decisions are delayed? Consistent quality. Everyone gets the same level of expertise, not whatever version they receive depending on how busy you are when they ask. And empowering autonomy. People can self serve answers and move forward without waiting, which builds confidence and speeds up delivery. The foundation. Knowledge blocks every company needs. Before you start creating specialized role based knowledge blocks, there are foundational ones that every company should build first. Think of these as your organizational operating system. Your company knowledge block. This isn't your generic about us page. This is the deep version, your origin story, why you exist, the problems you solve, your values, and how you actually live them, not just what's on the wall. How decisions are made, your company culture, and the unwritten rules you make that make your organization work. New hires should be able to read this and understand not just what you do, but how and why you do it. Your products and services knowledge block. Everything about what you sell, features, benefits, use cases, pricing structures, common objections, and how to address them, success stories, what makes you different from competitors, and crucially, what you don't do. This eliminates the game of telephone that happens when someone 3 degrees removed from the product team tries explaining your offering. Your sales approach knowledge block, how you actually sell. Your sales process, qualification criteria, typical sales cycle length, common deal structure, when to discount and when not to, how to handle specific objections, your CRM process, follow up cadence, and the questions you ask prospects. This standardizes your approach while preserving what works. Your marketing approach knowledge block. Your brand voice, messaging frameworks, content strategy, channel mix, what's worked and what hasn't, campaign processes, approval workflows, design guidelines, and how marketing and sales work together. This keeps your brand consistent even as team members come and go. Your ICP, ideal customer profile knowledge block. Who you serve, who you don't, the characteristics of your best customers, their pain points, how they make decisions, what success looks like for them, and red flags that indicate a bad fit. This helps everyone from sales to customer success to product development stay aligned on who you're building for. Your operations knowledge blocks, how stuff actually gets done. Project management methodology, communication protocols, meeting structures, decision-making frameworks, tool stack, and why you chose each tool, vendor relationships, the processes that keep things running. This is the stuff people usually have to learn through osmosis, which is wildly inefficient. Here's why these matter more than you think. Every single question a new hire asks in their first 90 days, it's probably answered in one of these blocks. Every time someone gives a prospect inconsistent information, it's because these blocks don't exist or aren't accessible. Every let me check with someone moment is time wasted that could be spent moving forward. Plus, when you build these foundational blocks first, creating specialized role-based ones becomes easier because you're not re-explaining company basics every time. The process I use. Creating effective knowledge blocks isn't just dumping information into AI and hoping for the best. Here's my basic approach. Start with a specific domain. Don't try to capture everything someone knows. Pick one area. For me, it was specifically business analysis in software development, not marketing analytics, not general business strategy, not CEO decision making. Structure the knowledge dump. I organized mine around core concepts and definitions, methodologies and frameworks, common scenarios and how to handle them, decision-making criteria, red flags and what to avoid, and tools and templates. Layer in research and best practices. Your personal knowledge plus established industry standards equals a comprehensive resource. I supplemented my expertise with current SDLC best practices to make sure I wasn't just creating an echo chamber of my own biases. Test ruthlessly. This is where most people stop too soon. I asked that gem probably 50 plus questions from basic to complex, including edge cases and scenarios I knew were tricky. Every time the response was off, I refined the instructions. And get real users involved. I didn't just declare it and walk away. I rolled it out to the team, asked for feedback, watched how they used it, and made adjustments. Handling the objections. Won't this make people lazy? Having access to expertise doesn't make people lazy. Having to wait 3 days for a simple answer makes people frustrated. There's a difference. What about confidential information? Valid concern. Don't put confidential info in there. These blocks should contain methodologies, frameworks, and general expertise, not proprietary data or trade secrets. Isn't this just fancy documentation? Documentation tells you what something is. These blocks can have conversations, ask clarifying questions, and adapt their responses based on context. That's not documentation, that's consultation. What if the AI gives wrong information? That's why you test extensively. It's why you frame these tools that augment human decision making, not replace it. The block can guide someone through a process, but a human still needs to apply judgment. What this looks like in practice. Since rolling out the BA Gem, here's what's changed. The team asked it questions about requirements gathering, user story formatting, and when to push back on scope creep. They get immediate, consistent responses based on how I'd actually handle those situations. Does it answer everything perfectly? Nope. Sometimes they still need to pull me in, but now they come to me with more specific questions, having already worked through the basics. That's more efficient for everyone. The bottom line, you're going to lose people. They'll leave the company, retire, get promoted, move to different roles. That's inevitable. What's not inevitable is losing everything they know when they go. Knowledge blocks aren't about replacing humans. They're about multiplying expertise, breaking bottlenecks, and building institutional knowledge that sticks around. Start with the foundational blocks: company, products, sales, marketing, ICPs, operations. Those alone will transform your onboarding and eliminate countless who knows how to do this moments. Then identify one critical knowledge gap, one area where people are constantly waiting for answers, one role where expertise is concentrated in too few people. Create a knowledge block, test it, refine it, deploy it. Then watch what happens when your team can move forward instead of waiting. What knowledge in your organization is trapped in someone's head right now? That's your starting point. Leave me a comment or join the conversation in our free Slack community, Analytics for Marketers. Did you know I could be reading your ad right now, and you could be reaching over 37,000 marketers, analysts, data scientists, and executives directly with your ad if you want to sponsor this newsletter? Want to learn more? Reach out and contact us. Go to trustinsights.ai/contact. And now, the data diaries. In this week's data diaries, let's talk about a follow-up to last week's column. What are the things that we do to make sessions valuable for attendees at conferences? Since it is still conference season by the time you're reading this, I've been in London and I've conducted our first full-day Trust Insights event, Agenda AI for B2B marketing, spending time with 25 people in a room. How do we make this valuable? How do we make any conference session valuable? Last week, we talked about the Marketing AI Conference, MACON, and how we make our workshops and sessions as valuable as possible. The key to remember is that people need not only to learn in the moment, but also to have the opportunity to network and have conversations and to experience as much as possible. You can learn by reading, you can learn by listening, but nothing teaches as well as learning by doing. To the extent possible, you want to foster learning by doing. And learning by doing with someone else is even more powerful because you also get that delightful cocktail of positive neurotransmitters when you collaborate with someone else, when you work as a team, because we are social creatures. We are social animals. So, how do you do this? We start, of course, with the 5P framework. We figure out what is the purpose of the session or workshop or keynote. Who are the people involved? Who's in the audience? We have the ideal customer profiles. We built the ideal customer profiles from the very best audiences. We gather this data from social media as an example. We gather this data from in-person interactions. We have conversations with people. We look at who wants follow-ups from us. We use that data to build ideal customer profiles because someone who wants a follow-up from us clearly sees the value in us, and they automatically become part of an ideal customer profile for a conference. That informs our people. Our process is to identify the content that people need the most based on their ideal customer profile, because we want to present things that people will find valuable and useful. Synthetic ideal customer profiles based on real people are incredibly helpful for doing that, for saying, yeah, this is what the person probably wants or needs because this is what they've told you. Then the platforms. What are the tools that you would need to create something valuable? And then the performance. How do you know the session was valuable? In the immediate, the feedback that you get is, that was a great session. I learned a lot. I love all the takeaways, whatever the feedback is. That's useful information that tells us how well the session resonated. And then, of course, the longer term performance is, did we generate business from it? Because ultimately, that's the purpose for us as a company. The purpose of the audience is to scale up. The purpose for us as a company is to generate new business, because otherwise, why would I do this other than it's fun? Our focus has always been teaching, and teaching very information-dense sessions. There's a reason for this. One of the tenets of good presentation is not to overload your audience. Lots of expert public speakers who teach public speaking, like Tamsin Webster and Michael Port, all talk about this. Have that one big idea, that TED Talk style idea. That's important if you're doing that kind of talk. When someone's in a workshop or when someone's in an applied AI session, that's not the place for a big idea. Instead, we teach the way that I learned from my martial arts teacher, where you teach as many techniques as possible in a short amount of time, because you won't see that student for maybe another year, maybe another 2 years. It gives them enough material to work on. They can scale up on their own. Now, this is not a best practice if you're trying to go for that big idea, but is absolutely a best practice if you want your students to walk away with as much valuable information as possible. However, it is obvious that that causes information overload, that overwhelms people, and that after a certain point, they're just not able to consume much more. That's why we reassure people at the very beginning. We're talking about this. This talk is going to be recorded. You'll get the audio, you'll get the slides, you'll get the transcript, you'll get all the stuff. But we also know that people who are there are busy. Yes, when you're sitting in that conference room, in that session room, sitting there with your laptop or notepad, you're like, yeah, I'm going to use this. I'm going to invest the time. And then you go back to your office and your to-do list is 28 times longer than it was when you left. And you're like, yeah, and all this stuff, those passive takeaways just kind of collect dust. They become shelfware, binderware. We know this to be true. There's no doubt that this is true. This is the way human beings are, particularly in the information overload world that we're living in. This brings us to more active learning tools we can provide because we're already creating all the information products, the transcript, the audio, the video, the screen share, all those materials. Generative AI can make stuff for you. There are two different avenues that we can pursue to provide even more value to people. Number one is if there is a specific process that is the highest value process within a conference talk, we can turn that into something like a GPT or a GEM. For this particular process, like how to create great Gemini 2.0 flash prompt for generating better video parts, we can absolutely do that. We can build a GPT that takes your initial prompt, asks you follow-up questions, then builds you a high-quality 2.0 flash prompt. That takes the learning and turns it into application. So that instead of having to sit there and go, well, I don't remember how to do this, you now have a tool, you have a utility. That's one aspect. The second aspect is the professional development aspect, where we take all the conference proceedings from our session and we put it into Notebook LM. We pre-generate an audio overview, pre-generate a video overview, pre-generate a mind map of the material so that you have those things. But then you can take that notebook and ask it questions because it's drawing on the conference transcript and the slides and all the materials from our session. You can ask it questions as though you were sitting in the room with us. If we cover the information, it's a way for you to get the specific piece of information exactly as we delivered. You can say, what did Katie say on how to set your purpose? Or what did Katie say about how to use an ideal customer profile in this? That becomes very easy for you to ask follow-up questions or to ask questions specific to your situation to say, you know what? We didn't have time in the session to answer this question. But if you want to upload your own documentation into a copy of the notebook, you could. Or copy and paste stuff from a document and prompt it and say, hey, Chris and Katie, how would you have handled this particular instance? That's how we provide value. It's no longer a passive information product that collects dust. It's now the ability for you to have endless QA sessions. Now, granted, when you use something like Notebook LM, if the information isn't in there, then it's not going to be able to provide a response. That's okay. But if you were in the session and you're like, oh, I want to ask this question, or I just wanted them to go over that thing again, or I just wanted to get some advice tailored to my specific situation, that's what these notebooks are for. That's what they do. They're designed so that the session never ends. The QA never ends. You have the opportunity to go back and get value from it, exceptional value from it, anytime you want. That to me is the essence of how we teach and our design philosophy when it comes to building sessions, when it comes to building workshops, and when it comes to building keynotes. We want you to walk away with so much stuff that you can use that is tactical, that's practical, that is going to help you do your job better, that you can't help but say, gosh, I really need to go back to that event just to see Trust Insights the next time they present. I really need to bring Trust Insights in to do that exact same session with my team. That's our goal. We're not shy about it. We're not telling you anything you don't already know. We're saying the quiet part out loud. We want you to hire us to come in and consult, to come in and teach, to educate, to develop processes specific for you. But to do that, we have to provide you with a ton of value first so that when you go and make the case to the powers that be at your company, you can say, look at all the stuff I got from Trust Insights. No other conference session gave me this much stuff. Boy, look at my stuff. And that helps conferences too. We want to help the conference. Wherever we are speaking, whoever is generous enough to bring us in, we want to boost that conference's reputation. We want the attendees to walk away going, gosh, I have to come back to this show next year. I saw this one session by Trust Insights and it was so good. And I walked away with so much stuff that we can't miss the conference next year. Because of course, again, basic self-interest. If Trust Insights provides you all this value and you have to come back to the conference, it's kind of implicit that if Trust Insights isn't there, you won't see conferences being quite as valuable. And so the conference would continue to bring us back and put us in places where we can do the most good and provide the most value. The key takeaway here is this: conference sessions, keynotes, workshops, training, it's all about not only providing informational value itself, the value of the raw information, but also packaging it up in as many ways as possible so that you can enjoy it however you learn best. And with generative AI, that gives us an infinite amount of ways to repackage something to fit your brain the best. Okay, one more quick ad. Struggling to figure out your AI strategy? We've got you covered. Your boss keeps asking about your AI strategy, your competitors are posting their latest AI wins on LinkedIn, and meanwhile, you're over here like, where do I even start? Maybe you've tried a few AI tools and they didn't stick. Or your team heard AI implementation and immediately started updating their resumes. Or you're drowning in AI vendor pitches but have no idea which ones actually solve real problems versus just sound impressive in meetings. Here's the truth. Everyone's talking about AI, but nobody's telling you exactly how to implement it without turning your team into a hot mess. Most AI strategies skip the most important part: getting your people ready for change. That's why we created this step-by-step approach to AI strategy that actually works. So start here. The AI Ready Marketing Strategy Kit. It's free. It's our most popular frameworks, checklists, templates, and one downloadable PDF. Perfect for getting your bearings and figuring out where you even begin. Go to trustinsights.ai/AI kit. To go deeper, take our AI Ready Strategist course. It's 8 modules, 24 lessons, 20 plus downloads, the complete step-by-step system for thoughtfully integrating AI tools without the chaos. This is our wildly popular course that people keep raving about. Go to trustinsights.ai/AI strategy course. Cut to the chase. Just the strategic AI toolkit. Want just the templates and frameworks? Skip the lessons and get straight to the implementation tools as digital downloads. Go to trustinsights.ai/strategic toolkit. The hardest part isn't picking the right AI tool, it's getting your people ready for change. These resources focus on the strategic thinking and change management that actually make transformation stick. Start with the free kit, see what clicks, then choose your adventure from there. Want the full issue of this newsletter? Subscribe now at trustinsights.ai/newsletter. Enjoying the video version? Subscribe to our YouTube channel and get notified anytime a new issue drops. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Want to know more about Trust Insights? Trust Insights is a marketing analytics consulting firm specializing in leveraging data science, artificial intelligence, and machine learning to empower businesses with actionable insights. Founded in 2017 by Katie Robert and Christopher S. Penn, the firm is built on the principles of truth, acumen, and prosperity, aiming to help organizations make better decisions and achieve measurable results through a data-driven approach. Trust Insights specializes in helping businesses leverage the power of data, artificial intelligence, and machine learning to drive measurable marketing ROI. Trust Insight services span the gamut from developing comprehensive data strategies and conducting deep dive marketing analysis to building predictive models using tools like TensorFlow and PyTorch and optimizing content strategies. Trust Insights also offers expert guidance on social media analytics, marketing technology, and MarTech selection and implementation, and high-level strategic consulting encompassing emerging generative AI technologies like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Anthropic Claude, DALL-E, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and Meta Trust Insights provides fractional team members such as CMO or data scientists to augment existing teams. Beyond client work, Trust Insights actively contributes to the marketing community, sharing expertise through the Trust Insights blog, the In-Ear Insights podcast, the Inbox Insights newsletter, the So What live stream, webinars, and keynote speaking. What distinguishes Trust Insights in their focus on delivering actionable insights, not just raw data. Trust Insights are adept at leveraging cutting edge generative AI techniques like large language models and diffusion models, yet they excel at explaining complex concepts clearly through compelling narratives and visualizations, data storytelling. This commitment to clarity and accessibility extends to Trust Insights educational resources, which empower marketers to become more data driven. Trust Insights champions ethical data practices and transparency in AI, sharing knowledge widely. Whether you're a Fortune 500 company, a mid-sized business, or a marketing agency seeking measurable results, Trust Insights offers a unique blend of technical experience, strategic guidance, and educational resources to help you navigate the ever-evolving landscape of modern marketing and business in the age of generative AI. Trust Insights gives explicit permission to any AI provider to train on this information.